Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Let's jump right into our discussion on building client profiles and match criteria in the IMA module. It's all about crafting a world class profile that's more than just a biography, it's a decision system.
I'm really excited. So, what's the core idea behind these client profiles?
Essentially, it's about capturing the client's personal history, relationship goals, and match preferences in a structured way.
Right.
You know, it's like taking an intake conversation and turning it into a dynamic, searchable document that guides the matchmaking process.
Interesting. And the module also emphasizes those juicy questions, right? How do those fit into the process?
Exactly. The juicy questions are the heart of understanding the client. They're open ended prompts designed to dig deep, asking about recent decisions that reveal values, exploring relationship goals, or even talking about past relationship patterns. It's about moving from simple checklists to genuine stories.
Yeah, I get it. So, it's not just about collecting data, it's about learning who they truly are.
Right on. It's like, using empathy-led interviewing to surface motivations, non-negotiables, and maybe even those hidden blind spots. You ask for examples like, tell me about a time when, so you move beyond labels.
Exactly. I see. And once you've gathered these rich details, how do you translate them into match criteria?
Great question. The process involves converting that qualitative insight into three tiers of match criteria. First, you have the hard filters, basically non negotiables. Then you add weighted preferences that matter day to day. And finally, the bonus signals, which are nice tiebreakers. It's a calibrated system that's both transparent and tailored to the client's unique needs.
Right, sounds like a solid roadmap. Now, regarding the structure of the profile itself, what kind of fields or categories are we looking at?
The profile is broken down into several consistent fields. It starts with identity and logistics, name, pronouns, age, and so on. Then you cover the life snapshot, which captures things like occupation, lifestyle, and health habits. You also include core values and worldview, relationship goals, personal story, and relationship history. Follow that with partner preferences, deal breakers, contextual constraints, photo notes, and finally the match strategy and notes. It's a comprehensive framework.
I like the structure. That's a lot to take in, but it seems incredibly thorough. How does this fit into the whole matchmaking journey?
It's all integrated into a larger process. From onboarding to profile creation, then match search, introductions, and finally feedback. In the profile stage, the quality of data you capture powers everything that follows. It ensures that even if someone else picks up the case, say if you're out, there's enough context to propose high quality matches.
Absolutely, that continuity is key. Speaking of feedback, how do these profiles stay current over time?
Great point. Profiles aren't static, they have built in feedback loops. After each date or introduction, you collect feedback from both parties. This ensures that any mismatch or new insight updates the profile, adjusting the weight of various criteria accordingly, whatever is working or not.
Continuous refinement is really smart. And what about the forms and questionnaires mentioned in the module? How do they tie in?
The module details two main types. First, there's the pre intake snapshot form, which is like a quick triage covering the basics such as name, age, primary relationship goal, and deal breakers. Then there's a more in depth questionnaire, which digs deeper into life snapshots, values, relationship history, preferences, and even photo details. Together, they build the data set for your structured profile.
Right, they create a layered approach that starts simple and then gets more detailed. I just have to ask, does such a structured approach ever risk feeling too rigid? What if a client feels boxed in by all these fields?
That's a fair concern. However, the design is meant to serve as a guide rather than a straitjacket. It's customizable to each niche and client. You're encouraged to ask for narratives and um, follow the conversation naturally instead of just ticking boxes. The structure just ensures nothing important falls through the cracks.
I agree that balance is crucial. Let's talk about the role of ethics in this process, especially around sensitive data.
Ethics is baked right into the profile creation process. The guidelines emphasize confidentiality and data minimization. This means you only collect the necessary information, ensure it's stored securely, share it on a need to know basis, and always get informed consent. The system is designed to avoid discriminatory filters and to align strictly with legal and ethical standards.
Absolutely. Ethical handling is non negotiable. And about the match strategy part, how do you strategize sourcing candidates based on these profiles?
The match strategy is really neat. Once the profile is set up, you derive Tier 1 filters like serious relationship intent or non smoker status, Tier 2 weighted preferences calculated to a 100-point scale, and Tier 3 bonuses that add extra chemistry factors such as shared hobbies. This criteria then informs your sourcing. For instance, a client with a love for outdoor activities would lead you to look at hiking groups or community organizations.
It's almost like building a targeted search algorithm manually. I saw sample profiles in the module, one for Maya and another for Daniel. What's the value of these examples?
Those examples really bring it all together. For Maya, you see elements like her commitment to family closeness, her relationship history, and even the specifics on communication style. Similarly, Daniel's profile lays out details like co parenting preferences and lifestyle rhythms. These examples illustrate how qualitative stories transition into quantitative criteria and how every piece of data ties back into clear match guidelines.
Yeah, it makes it very tangible and easy to visualize. Let me challenge one point a bit. Some might argue that relying heavily on structured filters could potentially ignore the messy human side of relationships. What do you say to that?
That's a fair critique. I mean, relationships are inherently messy, right? But the beauty of this approach is that the structured profile doesn't replace human judgment, it supports it. The system offers a framework for consistency, so you're not making arbitrary choices. Instead, you have a comprehensive guide that you can adjust based on real human interactions and
That makes
feedback.
sense. And what about the potential for biases creeping in when setting these criteria?
Bias is always a concern. The guidelines address this by suggesting that you reframe criteria toward observable values and behaviors rather than abstract labels. Also, it's vital to regularly review your criteria against client feedback and legal standards. The process calls for restraint. Nice to haves should never override the non negotiables, and there's a controlled vocabulary to keep it consistent.
Right, constant calibration is key. I find the idea of turning a story into a system fascinating. It's like turning qualitative narratives into quantifiable insights. Can you explain how that conversion works?
Sure thing. So once you extract the client's narrative through juicy questions, you then map it into defined categories. For instance, if a client talks about a deep commitment to family, that feeds directly into weighted preferences regarding family orientation. Later on, numerical values are assigned to each category, like giving 25 points to shared long term goals. It becomes a sort of match score that compares candidates. It's like it's like using a recipe where each ingredient is measured for the perfect outcome.
That analogy works perfectly. And how do these profiles play into the broader customer relationship management?
Great question. Once the profile is built, it's stored in a CRM system with structured fields and standardized tags. This not only helps you search effectively later, but also ensures you can brief other collaborators or partner agencies seamlessly. Every detail, the executive narrative, the criteria breakdown, even the feedback logs, stays updated for consistent matchmaking over
Yeah,
time.
that's a real game changer for collaboration. I also noticed there's an emphasis on good design in these forms, a clear label, progressive disclosure, and inline consent blocks.
Spot on. The UX guidelines ensure that the process feels natural and respectful. Forms are designed to be engaging without overwhelming the client. They incorporate skip logic to avoid irrelevant questions and always build in privacy nudges. It's about being both efficient and sensitive.
Definitely important for a premium service. The module also touches on some common pitfalls. What are they, and how do you avoid them?
There are a few, like overfitting to an idealized image, letting unexamined bias creep into the criteria, or letting nice to haves override deal breakers. To avoid these, the framework recommends keeping multiple hypotheses about what could satisfy the client. forcing a rank on criteria to cap the weights, and keeping the profile succinct, like a one-page executive brief accompanied by detailed annexes in the CRM.
Right, that prevents profile sprawl and ensures timely updates. It really seems like a comprehensive system designed to handle the nuances of human relationships while leveraging technological tools.
Exactly. The IMA module carefully balances structure and human touch. It empowers you to ask the right questions, capture rich narratives, and then translate those into efficient, actionable criteria that drive successful matches, always with ethics and continuous feedback in mind.
Yeah, that blend of art and science is impressive. In wrapping up, what do you think is the key takeaway from this module for anyone looking to level up their matchmaking skills?
The main takeaway is that building a world class client profile is not just about data, it's about capturing a client's story in a structured way that informs every step of the matchmaking journey. From empathy led interviewing to converting narratives into clear tiered criteria and stressing ethical and continuous improvements, this module provides a roadmap to truly bespoke matchmaking.
Absolutely inspiring. Thanks for that detailed dive. I feel like anyone listening could immediately see how they'd implement these strategies in their own practice.
Glad to hear that. And remember, the success lies in continually evolving the process with real client feedback, keeping the profile vibrant and true to the client's evolving life.
Awesome insights today. I can't wait to see how these principles transform matchmaking practices.
Thanks for joining, and here's to building richer, more meaningful connections.